Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
Welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is a podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts. And today we are so honored to invite LaVonne Wells onto our podcast. We met her at the second Helping Parents Heal conference, and she was such a shining light, such a joy, such an amazing presence to be around. And we are so honored that she is our guest today. She's a spiritual teacher, she's a global speaker, and she's also a love activist. And by the way, that is my favorite, love activist. I didn't know that was a title. I need to adopt that in my life because that's amazing. And really what LaVonne brings to us is an amazing story of losing her daughter and then the support that she now provides for mothers specifically, but also for the whole world as a life coach and as a grief coach. And a lot of times we don't know what to do when our heart breaks. And because she has been there and she's gone through it and she found a way to be very present with her daughter in life and after life, she is the perfect accompaniment to our podcast. So welcome, LaVonne. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. So grateful to be here.
And thank you for sharing your story. If we can help even just one person, we've done a great job.
So LaVonne, tell us a little bit of the story about Kiva and what you went through and how you've come to be on this other side of the story, so to speak.
So Kiva was born with a rare condition called McCune-Albright syndrome. At the time, we didn't know that's what it was. A doctor just happened to look in the incubator and noticed that she had certain spots on her body and thought, well, this looks familiar. So he contacted NIH out of Maryland, National Institute of Health, and they said, look for A, B, and C. And they looked for A, B, and C, and they found D, E, F, G. And immediately she became a case study for NIH. And that's how we got the diagnosis. And so the bottom line is her endocrine system was just wreaking havoc on her body. So every specialist you can think of, she had it. Basically cells just kind of fighting one another and shutting things down or just wreaking havoc. And so we were in and out of the hospital for quite some time. Towards the end, or towards the time it was for her to transition, to pass, she had been on 17 medications just to suppress her condition. And they had put this 5-month-old baby, 7 pounds, on morphine. So, it's about time for something to shift and change. And I remember going home one morning, many mornings I've done this, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting on my bed, literally laying back to put my head on the pillow. And immediately there was this myriad of light coming into my room, and there were all these voices, but they were speaking in one voice, and they wanted me to know that it's time. And they told me she is going to leave, and she stayed longer than she was supposed to because she just doesn't want to leave her mom. And then they explained to me the connection of the heart, the heart with a mother and a child. And it's for everybody, but for me specifically, a mother and a child, and how that links and how it's really challenging when that baby's in physicality. To now say, okay, I know I had a purpose and this is part of it, but I don't really want to go because I really love this mama, And so they were explaining it to me and showing it to me. And back in the day, I would say, oh, those were angels that came into the room. Now I know they were ancestors, and they were the female women of, I would say, my ancestral tribe. And they were just coming to bless me and coming to bless her. It's like this initiation for her next step, her next phase. And I've never explained it this way before. So you're getting the first explanation of that, because as the years have gone by, I see more of more of the information about that one experience coming through, if that makes sense. So 22 years later, I'm still receiving data. I'm still receiving insights and answers. And so that's really, really beautiful. And so in that one accord, that one voice, the room was very bright and very brilliant. And they acknowledged me for having faith, because I used to say to the doctors and everybody, if you don't have faith, you can't be in the room with Kiva. If you don't have faith, you can't be in my space. And they literally addressed that. And they said, we know that you believe and we know that you have faith and we acknowledge that faith, but it's time for her to leave. And in that moment, I just remember feeling relief because I didn't know what else to do, and gratitude. And then I also felt sad. The grief just kind of amplified in that moment. But the biggest thing that I held on to was the gratitude portion. How grateful I was. And I know not everyone gets this opportunity to know when someone's going to transition, or you're gonna be the person that's going to assist her in her transitioning process, because that's what ended up happening. And so I don't know if it was a week later, a couple of days later, I went back into the hospital, and there was this one doctor that said, what do you want us to do for you? This is my week. He says they are looking at her, they're learning from her, but there's nothing else we can do for her. And so they're basically just still trying to research and learn. What do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to take her off life support, and I want to hold my baby. And he said, let's meet with the ethics board. And that's what we did. And everybody was there. It was like a fine-tuned symphony. I didn't ask the nurses or the doctors to be there, but they were there, and they were there for the ethics board meeting. And they basically said, this mother knows her child. If she says it's time for her child to go, then it's time for her child, Kiva, to go. And we have many parents up here all the time, and fear is their reason, or, stress, whatever it is. And they said, this isn't it. And we came to the consensus, we're more humane to our animals than we are to our loved ones, or in this case, to baby Kiva. And the humane thing to do would be to let her go. And and so when the time came, we were granted to take her off life support. And I held her in my arms for an entire hour. And it felt like it was all of 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. But I just remember just holding her. I'm going to get emotional about that. And that's my love for her, because I don't grieve her anymore. I know who she is. I know where she is. I know, that she does this work with me and through me. And she's teaching me so much. And she tells me that I'm teaching her just as much, if not more. And I honor her for that. And I just remember holding her and feeling her heartbeat, and her taking 3 deep cleansing breaths and leaving from the crown of her head. And I was holding her like this, so I felt her leave. And immediately I felt her beside me, and a hand on my shoulder. And we'll have to talk about that. Hand on my shoulder. Now, at that time, I've been a part of so many different religions and so many parts of so many different groups. And at this time, I was practicing Buddhism. And we had our Rinpoche, also Jerry Gardner, who works at the university, but he is a Rinpoche, studied out of Tibet. And he was there in attendance, and he had an altar there, and he was doing ceremony. And there was someone else in the room that was reading from the book of, I can't remember the book, I think it's the book of life and death, or the book of death, or something like that. And it was just like these prayers and mantras to assist Kiva in her transitioning. Now, they had tried to take her off life support before, and she just it wasn't time yet, and they had to put her back on. This time, when I'm holding her, she's calm, she's relaxed, she's breathing. Then she gives that final 3rd breath, and she leaves the crown, and she's right beside me. And he literally, the Rinpoche, looked over at me and said, do you feel that? Can you feel that? Because it also challenged some of the belief with even that tradition. In that way, it's like, whoa, that's instantaneous. How did that happen? And he always talks to his students at the university about Kiva. And many people in the community talk about Kiva and how Kiva still goes to them and supports and assists them. But long story short, it was just one of those things where they always acknowledge what a powerful soul. She came intentionally, and she came in with grace, and she came in with vigor and strength and courage. I mean, the things that she mastered in that little physicality, in that little body, I don't think an adult could handle some of the stuff that she went through. And she did it masterfully. Throw her one thing, she'd take it on the next thing. And so the biggest thing that Kiva would say, even now as I'm speaking now, fast forward and focus on who I am now, and how we are this dynamic team, and how the communication is a consistent communication. How when you feel like you can't feel me, even after 22 years, you might have a day where it's like, I can't hear you, I can't feel you, Kiva. How you turn around, Mom, and how you end up realizing I'm being quiet intentionally because I get to assist you in knowing who you are at the core of your being from the inside out. And it's not anyone outside of me that's going to give me my information, but it's that innate I am presence within me, the spirit I am, that's going to give me that information. And this is what she continues to do. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
And look at how amazing she is, but also giving a validation of the eternality of our soul, meaning she was 5 months old and more than likely didn't have a complete grasp on the English language. And not only that, as a beautiful little baby, she's going to get out of that vehicle and stand right next to you. That is powerful and palpable. Once that started happening, because I believe that you also heard a voice with somebody else hearing it, because it kind of sounds like there's a couple of things that are being validated
Yes.
on a spiritual level so that you realize you ain't that crazy, which
Not
is
that
powerful.
crazy. Yes. Well, I gathered her, when everything was said and done, I put her body back in the bed, and I remember just marveling at how this isn't Kiva. Wow, it just seemed like such a it was it I mean, I don't know how to say this, but it was like clay, but there was honoring in the clay of seeing the clay, like in my own mind at that time, because I'm now kind of having a bittersweet experience, right? And I put her body back into her bed, and I go to gather her things, and as I'm walking out, my friend's walking out with me, and I hear, "Wait, I'm coming with you." As I'm going to the elevator, and I go in the elevator, I'm like, am I crazy? I know I'm not that crazy. And I just put my head down, and I looked at my friend, she looked at me, and she just said, "Did you hear that?" So she heard the same thing. And let me just tell
Not
you,
only,
that was phenomenal, because she was pew, 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 all over the place, out of that body, out of that illness, out of that condition. And she was nonstop, kind of like the same energy she has now. Well, she is all over the place, and a beautiful presence. Yeah.
well, and as you're walking into this path, in this case, the elevator, she's like, hey, I'm coming with you. What the?
Wait for me. I'm coming with you.
Right, exactly. And, I think that as we realize that they can't do it for us, but they can do it with us.
Yes.
And when they have an idea of who we are as that eternal soul, because she chose you as the parent and a lot of her circumstances, and, again, it's that soul growth. And, like I do, for myself, every time I unify with the oneness, there is no separation with anything. It is
None.
all truly interconnected.
Absolutely.
Yes. And love is what allows everything to be. And that's all there is. To me,
Yeah.
there's no judgment ever on the universe's part.
Yep.
Now, not only that, it just kind of brings up an aspect for me is look at how effective she is from the graduation of her physical body. Complete versatility and able to, like we have the metaphysical senses, we have the physical senses, and being able to connect and I kind of accomplish that connection even more effectively to take it into the rest of our life. In connecting with her, because she kept coming to me earlier and supposed to be writing a book with her. So, whatever.
Oh, let me tell you something. She's been talking to a couple of other folks about writing a book. She, she, she is on a mission. I mean, this other
Yeah.
individual that she's talking to, They literally had to say, give me a second, Kiva, give me a minute. And she's like, Mama's got to get her book written, and I am going to be writing
There's
books.
another.
And yep, and there you go. She's not play. They don't play. And I mean that. I mean, when I say that, it's like a jokingly. They don't play when they want something done, or they see because they see what's going to happen with it, right? They can see that they have far sight. I mean, futuristic sight, and all that is presence as well. But yeah, that is cracking me up inside in a beautiful way, because she is not. She is like the book, the book.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And that dynamic, also, you bring up a very interesting point for me, and that is when Akiva graduated life and you felt you couldn't see her, yet you knew, you felt that it was her.
I knew.
That's
It wasn't
powerful.
even.
That's how,
It wasn't even a felt. I just knew. Claircognizance.
that is mediumship. Exactly.
And I don't even
That's
call
it.
myself a medium or a psychic.
Yeah, but everyone is. That's the
That's the
point.
good
Whatever you want to
news.
label
You
it.
know why?
Yeah.
Because I am love, and love sees and knows all in perfect timing and season. And if it's for me to know, then I know it. If it's not for me to know or share or speak, then I don't. And that's the beauty. It frees
Right.
me up. And I know, point of reference, medium psychic. And I love that. I just know that for me, Kiva was like, that's not working for you, is it? And I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, just be love and teach the oneness. And there is no separation. The only thing to heal is separation and the sense of separation. Because even if you believe it,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it so. It's just the sense of separation.
Well,
So,
exactly. And until you have your own experience, it's secondhand. Once you have it, it's firsthand. It
I
just got
agree.
real,
Yeah.
and,
And
and for
a
myself.
beautiful point, when we are truly in the oneness, when we truly see everyone as mirrors and reflections and as opportunities for growth and expansion, when we really step into, and I said we because we're one, when we're really in that place of seeing us whole and holy and complete, then everything is available, because there's no resistance, because there's no belief or vibrational pattern that's getting in the way that says I'm different, I'm separate, and I'm going to just be unique and do my thing over here. I believe it just in that oneness, everything lives there. In that everything's there. So you're able to
Yes.
see, hear, feel, smell, sense, tap in, tune in, all that yummy stuff.
And that's the beautiful aspect, because it's that inner space astronaut that all of us are on. Just when we're here on this physical planet, it's not so easy to connect with.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be, fearful of what they might find. And for me, that's what takes a lot of guts, is to soul search, is to find yourself within life. And the ability, as Mag says, others have said, that find yourself within life and be that with which you find.
Yes, I love that. Yes, that's
And
beautiful.
so, yeah, it's these kinds of different dynamics that each one of us will have our own learning curve,
And
and in any way
yeah,
that we can help
and here's the
ourselves.
beauty too. It is work. It's work because
Yep, not
they're,
always
yeah,
easy.
not always easy. It's like if you're going to work on exercising and toning your body and building your muscle, why not be about the exercise of the spirit, doing the inner work, going to work. And then what you'll notice, at least it's been my experience, what I notice is when I'm willing to go there, it is so rewarding. I see and I know that I am freedom. I see and I know that I am love. So the benefits outweigh any challenging life experience, any hard work I've got to put in, because eventually, once I'm in that connection and in that oneness, it becomes easier. At least that's been my experience. More grace and ease, more grace and ease. And I
Beautiful.
think that the hard and the work and the intensity of it came from my own resistance, not wanting to look at something and not being ready. And I've consciously, Jamie, have made it a point to just say, I'm not even looking at that right now. I barely can stand up
Excellent.
straight.
And when you put those parameters around it, exactly, it gives a little bit more of the empowerment that we're not so reactive. We're doing the best we can to be proactive. And how am I going to handle this? How can I find myself within life and that life within me?
Yes.
And being brought, because I've seen just a little bit of your presentations and it's beautiful. I love your practicality, very straightforward, very grounded. And people can go, okay, you know
Yeah.
what? I've been through something like that. So I've got a
Yeah.
reference instead of, I don't have a friggin' clue and I don't know who to connect with. You know, it's that kind of a
Yeah.
beauty that they've seen that you may not have always had a lot of people around you that could help you in this way. It was your own individualized rediscovering of who you are and
Yes.
the life that you're creating with other people. And I think that, you know, when we start to find a little bit more of our purpose in whatever way that is, it becomes a little bit more effective to allow ourselves to live life, not just exist or survive life.
Yes.
And you're dealing with some of the hardest moments of humankind, when a mother loses her child or a father loses her child or anyone loses. I mean, it's hard to lose anybody, but especially you never want to outlive your children. And the fact that you're able to help people find their way through that grieving process, because honestly, just looking at it from the outside in, I'd be like, oh gosh, no way, that's a train wreck, and I would never want to experience that. And I'm sure every parent feels that way going into this process of like, how do you allow yourself to grieve and to feel? And for you, obviously, you have this connection right away where you know Kiva's with you. How do you share that with other people so that they can find their way into the grief and into the process of grief, but also into the vibration of love at the same time?
Yeah. You know, it's one breath at a time, but there's something that you said, and Kiva is actually tapping in right now and saying, remind them of this. You know, a lot of times we have that comment. I don't. No mothers should bury their child before them, or they've gone before their time. And Kiva says a lot of these children are much older and more ancient than the souls of their mothers, and that's going at that's a whole nother deeper level, a whole nother, you know, you could do a whole workshop on that alone. And yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like, you know, we might be doing that, is what she's saying.
Look at how you're doing. You're just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, brrr, here you go, channeling. And that's the beauty of it. It is such a natural communication.
Yeah.
When we become a little bit more comfortable, we start to realize, okay, you don't have to be doing this in the realities. It's all one. All I have to do
Yeah.
is open up to
Oneness.
receive that communication. Yeah. And that's huge.
And
A lot of people are alone.
yes, yes. And to the part that you were speaking, Maggie, so I tell them to breathe. I tell them to create a practice for themselves. It's not just a practice in the morning or at night. You can stop whatever you're doing in the middle of the day and do your practice. And what is the practice? The practice is silence. And the practice, and most people are running from the silence, right? It's the stillness, the silence and the stillness. It's the breath. It's the grief, the BGLs, right? It's the breathe, grieve, and live. So we're going to breathe because we're going to allow that oxygen to oxygenate every cell in our body, which supports and assists us with clarity and creativity. And it's a very calming effect on the body. And then we're going to go ahead, if the emotion is coming up and we are grieving in that moment, then we're going to feel the emotion, acknowledge the emotion, and come back and give ourselves compassion and kindness. Come back and give ourselves grace. And then step into the truth, whether they're there or not. The truth can look like this. I may not know, but there is a possibility that my child is right here, right now with me. And then the truth for some people is, I know my child is alive and well and right here, right now, and with me. You see the two? It's like you don't have to lie about it. You're just speaking into possibility. And then for those that know that they know, they're saying, this is so, but this is how I'm feeling right now. And then that L, live, get up, brush your teeth, go back to bed. Any small activity, any large activity, however you want to look at it, is living, is living. And the other thing is just please be gentle, be kind, and be willing to do things or see things and feel things differently. And I promise you, your children are sending signs. and they are sending them like abundantly. They're just sending them out there, just hoping one or two will land. And so through the sit, the stillness, and that could be a 30, 60-second coming back to the breath, and in that moment, you can even just say, I simply want to see the signs today. I simply want to hear. I simply want to feel. Come, I am open to receiving. And then you're just paying attention. You're simply being aware and conscious. And this goes for anything in anyone's life. So even if you're at work, or even if you're at home, if you have children at home, you have a spouse at home or a partner, how are you being conscious? How are you being aware? Are you, instead of open up to respond maybe to that partner, are you pausing? Are you being still? Are you taking a breath? See, how we do anything is how we do everything. How we do it on this side of the veil is how it's rippled out on the other side, and vice versa. And so we're in partnership because we are one, we are family, and that never goes away. And we don't have to wait to the hereafter to experience that. Those relationships can be healed if there's healing that needs to be done. And those relationships where there's a lot of healing that's been done, and you just want to embrace more of that relationship and learn from one another. And that's the beauty of it as well. So, we never die. We're infinite and eternal. We continue to embrace our relationships and expand on our relationships, whether we're in the physical body or not. Yeah.
I think that brings up an interesting point. For me, I'm into that quantum science and a lot of good stuff. And I'm not a scientist nor a doctor, but
Me
I always
neither.
say, I believe, yeah, exactly. I'm
Disclaimer.
not silly.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, that's it. But also that they've found that humans are basically energy, vibrational light beings. Now, the science is starting to validate a lot of the ancient esoteric aspects, like we're eternal. And my thing is okay, if scientifically they found that humans are basically energy, in quantum physics they found that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. But then I say, but wait a minute. If that means in a very scientific, practical way that we are eternal and we have always been, and yet this universe has only been here 14.3 billion years. We may not be from this universe. I'll guarantee you we're not. And there are universes within universe. Just from I don't know, not just from my awareness, but you have those expansions. And just like you're talking about, once I connect with everything, my soul is full.
Yeah.
It's like the best mood you've ever been in, the best meal you have ever had. And I equate that to a lot of people that it's a lot of times a little bit easier when you're on the other side feeling freaking amazing to go, oh, now I see that experience.
Yeah.
Because life experience only holds the value that we place upon it, to
Ooh.
myself. And so, yeah, when we can find our own way and to begin to fill that cup of life,
Yeah.
and once we get it full, get a bigger cup. I'm lazy, man. Jeez.
It's really it's just so beautiful, this whole life experience. Now, if you asked me that maybe 2 weeks ago, I would tell you, well, I was having a magical moment where, ooh, and I love being honest about how I'm feeling in every given moment. We're not talking here that it's perfect every day. We're not saying, woohoo. What we're saying is, hey, you're going to have your ups and downs, and you're not alone. And this other component that's coming through is saying, basically, anytime that you are feeling lonely, anytime that you are feeling like you're having a magical moment, anytime that you are feeling disassociated, really, really sad, a lot of times, majority of the time, it's because we have disconnected from our source, which is divine love, which is the creator, which is my heart, which is the spirit I am presence. And so when we find ourselves in those situations, at least when I have found myself in those situations, I stop what I'm doing and I literally anchor in. I literally call forth the love that already lives within me, and I center and I ground in that. And it doesn't mean that the mood lifts right away. Majority of times it does. But if it doesn't, I know there's another component that I haven't seen or looked at, and I sit a little longer, and then it comes.
See, and you unravel those layers of consciousness, and in our own way, the best that we can, giving ourselves some
Yeah.
comfort along the way,
Yeah.
because we're always growth-seeking beings. No matter how many dreams, how many aspirations in life we have, once we attain them, we got more.
Yep.
So it becomes half the fun is the journey getting there. And when you, just like you're sharing the fact that there is no separation, truly it's
Yeah.
all one, it also brings up a very interesting point for me to go, love of itself already is unconditional. And isn't it crazy that the love of everything allows everything to be?
Yes.
Good, bad, happy, sad, all the perspectives, because just to me, it is all in the ocean of
Yes.
consciousness. And, sometimes it's not easy to send a person love and light when they've just irritated the crap out of you
Yep.
or whatever the circumstances. And so I started finding my own way around those roadblocks, so to speak, or soul blocks, as I call it. But that I started to see that person, if it was a challenge, as a droplet in the ocean of consciousness.
Yeah.
Everything is within that ocean. That's why it's all allowed to be. And
Yeah.
the darkness at the bottom is no less than the top where it's light. Or do we realize it's just a law of equivalence? If you're here, that's your awareness. If you're
Yeah.
here, great. Function from here because it's all one. And when we get the opportunity to realize, oh, so there isn't on a cosmic level judging, it's all we've been judging ourselves. Right. And then if we can get that realization, and then maybe the best we can step out of our way a little bit to give ourselves permission to live and learn like we're always
Yeah.
doing, I think that that becomes a catalyst for other people to go, you know what? If you can do it, then
Yeah.
maybe I can. Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes they just need to know it's possible.
And it is
Well,
totally possible. Absolutely. And to everything that you're saying, um, one day at a time, one breath at a time, there's nowhere to be. And guess what? In this lifetime, we're not going to master it all. And that's good news. So we can literally like take a breath, relax, and let our spirits guide. And whatever we deserve to see in each moment, it will be shown to us. Hey, let's look at this today. Let's be with this today. And the good news is definitely do and be about all the things you want to do and be about in this lifetime before you leave physicality, because there's a lot of things we can do in physicality that is pretty phenomenal, and we'd love to take that memory and that experience with us, so we don't have to wait to the hereafter to take any unnecessary soul blocks, as you would say. It's like, go ahead, be about that, master something that you like to master. Don't have to wait.
and when you have that passion and you begin to
Yeah.
embrace it and envelop, that's when it becomes even more powerful because it's an
Yeah.
amplified consciousness that, okay, you're a regular person like me. And it's not that, everything's been perfect and you're trying to help
Mm.
me. It's, okay, you've been through your stuff. And not only that, a lot of what you've been through,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to handle. And now in talking with you, not just to you, but I'm learning that there's a lot of other ways that I can possibly see things in
Yes.
order for me to connect and reconnect with life again. Because, a lot of us have circumstances and we'll just kind of like we're holding our breath in a pattern to go, okay, hope it keeps going, man. But, as I always say, and you're talking about the breath, that we live our entire life in one breath. Right. When we come in, we breathe in. And when we go out, we breathe out. The trick is to breathe and you will live in that eternal source of oneness.
Yeah.
And I think that when people can get a little bit more of the practicality of spirituality, it loses some of the fear because, what we don't understand, we tend to fear. And a lot of times what we tend to fear, we usually want to crucify. So within that, finding our own empowerment and in any way finding ourselves within life so that we can be a little more accepting of ourselves.
Yeah.
What has been one of the biggest reactions for a person that you've given some of these beautiful tools and techniques? Have they started making their own connections with their loved ones? Have they had other experiences, other life directions and professions? What has happened? What has been some of the most amazing?
A lot of them are really connecting with their children, and they're actually listening and they're journaling, and they're able to go back to that journaling on those days that are challenging, and say, yes, I didn't make this up. Here it is. Here's the item that I saw. This is a sign that I saw. A lot of people are getting more connected and doing what they love instead of doing what they felt like they had to do. And that could be in their career and their jobs, and actually finding a place and being able to actually take care and support their family by focusing on projects and businesses that they've started that is encircled and surrounded with love, or how can I be kind to someone, people going in and supporting and assisting in different political arenas. I have a very good friend that will say to me all the time, I'm so grateful for your support and assistance because I'm handling going to the Capitol, or I'm handling going here and talking to this politician differently. I'm not so reactionary. So it's been phenomenal. I mean, the feedback has been, I feel whole. I feel peaceful. I don't have all the answers, but I'm okay with that because I know that any moment I can just tap in and there is my child. They feel courageous to do things they've never done before. And they're making a difference in the world. And so that's a beautiful question. And I never really look back to see where people have been and where they are now, because I just feel like in the moment, I just love on you and you love on yourself. And I'm like, go in peace. Yeah. And once,
And keep living.
yeah. And I hear stuff coming and I'm just like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. And it's almost like, I think it might be one of those awareness of back in the day, maybe on a council of sorts where,
Yes, ma'am.
we know that everything that is happening through us is of that greater consciousness and awareness, and we are expressions and conduits for this amazing love, this amazing life, this amazing
Yes.
intelligence. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the support group you have for mothers so that they can tune into that vibration. Because I know there's so many people that could just, really be enriched by this energy.
Absolutely. So it came to me in February for like a Valentine's gift for the mothers. And because I kept seeing mothers talk about and post and share how, there's no Valentine for them. The love of their life was their child. And I remind them is still their child. And so every Saturday we have a support group for mothers. So I call it Saturday Support for Mothers. And it's a gift. It's not free. It's a gift. There's a difference in the vibration of that. Okay. So it's a gift where you just come on and we love on you. You get to speak your children's name. And every Saturday is different. We're always speaking the children's names, but every Saturday I'm walking you through a stillness or a silence. I'm walking through a meditation. I'm seeing how your week has been. And, a lot of times the children show up. And so it kind of turns into a read, even though I don't necessarily had it set up for that. But it's just a beautiful opportunity to love on and bring comfort and to remind the mothers too that it's about them as well. It's about learning and being about who are they now and who have they always been. And they love that. It's really been an incredible gathering. So it's more of a gathering. And all they have to do is just go to my website, LaVonneWells.com. They click the link, Saturday Support for Moms, and they register. And all it does is ask for their name and what would they like to experience as a result of being there. And I read every single one of them. And it gives them a link, and then they just join
Nice.
for Saturday. Yeah.
Love when you can make it that easy.
Yeah. Rose,
Excellent.
I've worked on it. I've worked on it.
Yeah. And it's nice though. I think a lot of people need a little bit more guidance. They hear the words that we speak and that we share on the podcast of find that stillness, return to your breath of life, like go into those places and then actually experiencing that in a group, it builds like a group consciousness. And then you have a guide, you have someone actually helping you with that process so that you can then implement it in your life
Yes.
as you go through. It's a beautiful gift that you're offering the world.
Yeah.
So,
And we do all of that on the Saturday support. It's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
A
Absolutely.
lot of great tools and techniques. Thank you for everything that you do. That's beautiful.
It's my love. Kiva thanks you as well. She thanks you for
Yep.
having me on the podcast.
Well, and the thing is as soon as you get that other book going,
Oh,
funny,
if she
but she makes me feel like there'll be at least a couple, not just one.
yeah, there is. There's quite a few. There's quite a few.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, she's accurate. Good thing is right? It's that connection. Go, we're just talking like this, and yet she's, well, wait, isn't that kind of weird? She's talking to both of us. She's talking to all of us. It's, are you listening?
Yeah. It's you know that multi-dimensionality. I mean, it's real.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple places
Yes,
at the same time. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. And being able to fit that into your life and consciousness to go,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not that crazy.
Yes.
But once you start to see the versatility of the expansion of our soul, that we are so much more than what we can comprehend at the moment,
Yes.
that it allows us to have even more room to go, okay, well, so far I'm doing okay and it's feeling good.
Yes.
Maybe I can open up a little bit more, in whatever comfort. Because when they can see how all of this information is affecting you, because you're the end result.
Yeah.
For me, I always say, if you're talking about something, you better be living it. Otherwise, if you're talking
Absolutely.
about things and you're not, you're just throwing a bunch of words out there. People will feel that connection. They
Yep.
go, no, I feel like you're genuine. I feel like you've had that. Instead of it's all perfect and it's like, nope, you've got the ability to keep going.
Oh, I remember right after we met you, Jamie was talking to you. I came up and we were introduced, and I was like, I like her. We need her on our podcast. Like, her energy is outstanding. Like, the love that emanates from you is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And this is what the world needs. The world needs you and your love. And everyone out there listening, the world needs you and your love. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
We're in this together. Everybody.
Yep,
Yeah. I know,
exactly.
yes.
We all get to see each other again. It's
Yeah.
all one.
Yep.
Yes. And thank you so much for joining us, LaVonne.
Definitely.
Thank you for having
Hey,
me.
has one of the books that you've been thinking about a children's book?
Yes.
Because Kiva keeps talking about a children's book. So I just need to go, well, she's very much aware of it. So whenever you're ready,
Yes.
because I know you're working on things, but doing the best you can to keep your balance.
Yes.
And again, she's like, she's right here and just but a thought away.
Well,
That is always the biggest gift.
she's attempting to have me do and that was a couple of years ago that came up. As soon as you said it, I said yes. But that's not the book I was originally working on with someone. But the children's book, she says, if you do the children's book, Mom, it'll be a lot easier, and it'll allow you to edge your way in as an author. And then we can continue with this on this side. So that's why
Very
that's
nice.
why you said that.
Yeah, and more.
And then
Yep.
thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are so grateful that you have taken the time to spend with us on our podcast today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And remember, these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
And if you want to have more fun with your psychic evolution, we do have a mystery school. Check it out. There'll be a link in your show notes, and you can join us and indulge in all our classes and become a part of the Psychic Evolution Inner Eye family. And if you feel like this podcast can help someone, please share it with a friend if you feel like it could help them grow and expand in their psychic evolution.
Until next time, have fun with your psychic evolution.